This is ABTV, Animal Bites Television. For animal lovers, by animal lovers.
Hey, Brian from SnakeBytes here.
And Peter from CritterCam.
We're at the Tinley Park NARBC Reptile Show.
To check out some awesome animals just like Bubba.
You're watching SnakeBytes. So you know, Pete, I've been doing reptile shows in America for probably 25 years. I know you've been doing a ton in Australia, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I do the circuit, so I just sort of travel up and down the East Coast, going to as many reptile shows as I can.
And you know, as an American, we love the Australian reptile shows, but for you, there's some really different stuff here, right?
Oh man, the stuff you guys have here is absolutely going to blow my mind, and I can't wait to get my teeth in it.
Let's go check it out.
Hell yeah.
All right, so the first animals that we're gonna highlight are some pretty spectacular snakes for sure, and certainly not something you're gonna see anything like it down in Australia, right?
Oh, for sure. Look at these things. They're beautiful. Look at the heads. They got these nice, short, blunt snout on them.
And these guys are called short-tail pythons, Borneo short-tails. And you can certainly tell why they're called Borneo short-tails. They have that little stubby tail, but these are far from normal, right? I mean, you've never seen these guys in a book, have you?
Oh, I've seen them in books, but I've never held one in the flesh. And to feel them, I mean, that body mass, they're quite strong animals.
They really are, and these are, again, very special animals. This is what they're calling an ocelot, and then this beauty here is a white-walled ocelot. Now, basically with Borneos, there's a lot of strange genetics going on, and it's kind of more of a polygenic type of thing with maybe some codominance. Essentially what's happening is when you breed some striped animals to some leopardy animals, you're coming out with things like these ocelots here, and then you can even get the white-walled ocelots. Just look at that pattern. And again, it's the body structure that's so amazing, isn't it?
How short and stumpy, it's just
and trust me, these guys pack quite a wallop too. I mean, they are just so strong. They will just, you know, destroy prey. It's so cool. But as you can see, they're also beautifully docile animals. Pretty cool, huh?
Awesome. I love them.
And that's not all. There's a couple other really cool Borneo short-tails I want to show you right now. What's the most unusual animal I've ever seen at an NARBC reptile show? A, Polish chicken, B, pygmy marmoset, or C, chupacabra? Go ahead and answer down below in the comments and check back later in the show to see if you have the right answer. For this week's Reptile Report, we'll be highlighting Bush League Breeder Forum. Go ahead and check out the URL down below or click on the link in the description.
This is what they're calling the ghost stripe. Now, the ghost gene itself lightens the colour and breaks down the patterning. You have to admit, it's quite an attractive animal. Man, these things are amazing.
Certainly, blood pythons and short-tailed pythons have really started to be very polygenic. You're starting to get all kinds of amazing paint jobs, just like the ghost stripe that Pete just showed you guys. Now, how that basically works is, again, a polygenic trait, which basically means that you're breeding animals that have specific color phenotypes to other animals to try to bring it out. And this happens to be a great example of some of that selective breeding. This is what is a super ghost animal. So again, when you start breeding ghost to ghost, you're gonna get animals that are like this, that are really expressing that gene tremendously. And I tell you what, just take a look at that animal right there. Just super light, and that head is absolutely on fire. I tell you, I've always loved blood pythons, and short-tailed pythons are just such cool animals. And you guys know I've had a love and hate relationship with them for a while, but I tell you what, I continue to go back to loving them. This happens to be one of my favorite lizards. These guys are Caiman lizards from South America, and typically they eat snails, so sometimes they're a little bit more difficult to keep in captivity. But now that some captive bred animals are starting to come in, you can really switch them over to dog and cat food, which is really cool. And this happens to be one of the tamest and coolest ones I've ever seen. Just take a look at that animal. Isn't that nuts?
This thing, it's hard to believe that this thing feeds on snails.
I know, it's kind of crazy. It's almost like a cross between an alligator, a skink, and
a monitor.
Like a monitor lizard. Just look at the spines on its tail here. And typically they aren't as mellow as this one. And this happens to be a mascot for a store for a while now. And when I came across the animal, the first thing I asked is, what's his name, and it doesn't have a name yet, so what do you think it should be called?
I reckon we should call him Colin. Look at that
Colin.
big,
It's a good
bright
name.
red head.
I tell you what, we need your help, to be honest with you. Go ahead and comment down below. I'd like to know what a cool name for that cute face is. And I tell you what, take a look at those jaws. I'm telling you, you don't want to get hit by something like this. Now, these happen to be relatively aquatic animals too, so they spend a lot of time in the water, but this guy is dog tame.
Man, one of the most fascinating things I can see is all these mottling colours. I mean, you got greens, you got yellows, you got pinks, you got blues. This thing is absolutely fascinating. And the different size scales, all these conical scales at the back, and the spine scales down the tail. I mean, that thing is just so impressive.
I sometimes wonder why Mother Nature does this. I mean, you start out red, you go to like a yellowish green, to different colors, blacks, and I mean, this is certainly something that you wouldn't think you'd see as a camouflage in the wild, but there's certainly got to be a reason for it, and those jet black eyes are super cool too. I tell you what, it's a cool animal.
This guy's awesome.
So this is obviously a snake that you see quite often, but it's pretty awesome here. This is a black-headed python, and obviously from Australia. So go ahead and tell me some stuff that I need to know about this animal.
Well, black-headed pythons are probably one of the python species that don't actually have heat sensory pits. I mean, there's much debate at the moment saying that they do in the front of their mouth, but at the moment there's no evidence showing that. And typically in the wild, these guys prefer to eat other reptiles, including their own kind at times. So sometimes they can be a snake eater.
Really? Now, so what's the significance of the blackhead?
Okay, so typically in the environments they live in is quite hot and harsh. So they'll actually go down burrows created by things like bilbies and other small mammals and reptiles. They'll actually eat the inhabitant. They'll live inside the burrow, and what they'll do then to thermoregulate is they'll actually stick their head out of the top of the burrow. This big black head obviously attracts the sunlight and the heat very rapidly, allowing the brain to be heated up very quickly, letting the animal become quite active very fast.
Well, that's freaking awesome. I mean, again, adaptation is amazing, right? And I mean, just what a gorgeous animal. They really are similar to Woma pythons when it comes to the color, but these guys get much larger, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, in Australia they get up to 3 meters, and I think over here they're anywhere between 10 and 12 feet.
Now,
So
is
they're
there
quite a
two
large
different,
animal.
like Eastern and Western?
Yep, the West Coast stuff typically is a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Because again, it's a little bit harsher, the area's a lot harsher, so food's a little bit scarcer. So the interior stuff, Northern Territory, Western Queensland, always typically gets a lot bigger.
And he came all the way to America to talk about blackheads with you guys, so I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, let's go check out some other stuff.
So Pete, I know you're into small pythons, right?
Yeah, I love my small snakes.
Like your little ants. Well, I tell you what, I got to show you some small boas. I think
yeah?
this is right up your alley. And I've worked with these guys for a while, and as a matter of fact, my animals came specifically from this vendor, which is pretty cool. These are sunset Indian smooth-scale sand boas. Now, as you can see, these are absolutely stunning as babies. Now, what's interesting is that the Irex johni, or the Indian smooth-scales, they're basically born this color, but typically turn pretty much just all brown when they get to adults. So they're a little ugly, but the sunsets stay this really cool pattern and color. And what's interesting is these guys get pretty big, but you can see how big they're born. So again, now you do the ants, right?
Oh yeah, I mean this thing's like a year-old Antaresia size. That is amazing.
These things come out just like that. They're only going to have 3, 4, maybe 5 babies, but they're absolutely enormous. And again, the sunset is an actual color mutation within the Irex johni, or smooth scales. But another actual cool color, but it's a specific species actually, is Irex johni persica. And you can see, instead of that like kind of solid brown, you have the silver and kind of, you know, dark earth tones going through, and you can definitely continue to see his pattern. Again, in the normal johni, it's just going to turn all brown and you're not going to see much. But again, it's kind of cool how the defense mechanism here, the tail and the head almost look exactly alike in a lot of ways. They're real blunt and stuff like that. But again, kind of a cool boa. Now, as a male, this is as big as it gets.
Wow.
So it's certainly going to be in that kind of small, well, it's even smaller than an ant,
Oh
right?
yeah, that's tiny.
And I got to show you one other thing, because again, with all your children's and spotteds, they're all egg layers, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, pythons are egg layers, right? And boas are live bearers.
Boas are live bearers, except for these guys right here. Believe it or not, it's one of the very few exceptions in the boa world, and these are Arabian sand boas.
Oh.
And believe it or not, these guys will have anywhere from 5 to 7 eggs, not live bearers.
Really?
So it's pretty cool. So
wow.
yeah, so basically this is kind of the boa of the python world, right?
It's like the crossover.
It's pretty cool, but beautiful animals as well.
Spectacular, and his little eyes are sitting right up there on top of his head.
I mean, of course, that's because these guys are ambush hunters, and they're going to bury themselves in the sand. As soon as something comes up, their eyes are just sticking out, and wham, they're going to hit it. Those guys are perfect for predation. Back to an amazing blood python. There happens to be quite a few short-tail and blood pythons in here that absolutely are smoking hot, and this absolutely takes the cake to me. Now, there happens to be a few different things going on here. First off, there's an ivory gene, which is actually a super form of matrix, which is a co-dominant blood python. And then there's something that's called a golden eye, that when bred together, you can get a super form, which is called a magpie. This happens to be the cross between a matrix and a golden eye. So essentially, it's much like some of the stuff that's going on in ball pythons where there's allelic traits. So the matrix and the golden eye mixed together actually produce a mix that you can never get from either one of those genes. It looks a little bit like a magpie, but this is the very first production ever of this gene together, and wow, what an amazing animal it turned out to be. So what we have here are green iguanas, but these guys aren't quite as green as you think, huh?
No, they're not so green. They're more like an aqua blue.
Exactly, and the reason for that is that these are axanthic iguanas, and obviously when you take the yellow out of green, you're going to get a blue animal. But they're the exact same animal. They're a green iguana essentially, which are endemic to Central America, and they're omnivores, which basically just means that they eat a lot of vegetation and some protein. Now, during the breeding season, these guys are going to typically eat a lot more protein to put a lot more weight on, and these guys hatch out just absolutely cool. Now, the downside to these a little bit is that a lot of people really felt these were like the best pet lizard in the past. The truth is they get really large, and some of the large animals get a little bit cantankerous, so they're not exactly the best pet. But as you can see, as babies, they're super cute, and if you have the space and the time, green iguanas are really cool, and blue green iguanas are even cooler. Yeah, so, you know, guys, this guy has some amazing tarantulas. Want to check that out?
Yeah, spiders. Yeah, they're great, aren't they?
All right. So what we have here are some boa constrictors, and I'm assuming that you have boas in Australia on zoo permits, but they probably don't look anything like this, right?
Man, they don't look nothing like this. The only things we would see would be the wild types.
Exactly. Well, these are far from wild types, and I tell you what, when I walk by this table, I immediately stop. What I have here is a T-positive VPI Aztec. Now, the T-positive is basically a type of albino that still has tyrosinase, and the Aztec happens to be a co-dominant pattern mutation. But I tell you what, put that together and that is one stunning animal.
Man, that animal's stunning. This, I believe, is a T-positive motley. You know, just like that, the T-positive being a recessive gene and the motley being a codom. And I believe the superform is a completely patternless animal.
Yeah, well, you're 100% correct. I tell you what, put those two together and you're not going to get much better examples of some incredible boa constrictors. Another amazing boa constrictor from Chi-Town Constrictors happens to be this IMG T-positive. Now, the IMG stands for increasing melanin gene. So basically what happens is as this animal gets older, it gets darker and darker, and of course, the T-positive is lacking some of the melanin and only has a tyrosinase left, leaving that kind of purplish hue. So as this animal gets older, it's just going to get more and more purple. That's one cool boa. And this one is a mouthful. This happens to be a T-positive IMG Sunglow Jungle. So let me break it down really quick for you. You basically have the IMG gene that we just talked about. You have the T-positive gene that we just talked about. What's added to this happens to be a jungle mutation, which is a pattern mutation, and of course the hypo, which is a lack of melanin as well. That just makes for a crazy cool animal. And lastly, we have a world's first and only animal in existence, which is always cool to show off to you guys, and that's a T-positive arabesque boa. Again, we talked about the T-positive. The arabesque is also a recessive mutation that's really a pattern mutation. It messes with the color a little bit too. You put those two together, it's pretty cool, and it's always awesome to hold an animal that there's only one in the entire world. Well, keeping with the international flair, I'm here with my good friend Charlie from Costa Rica, and you were the first person to produce a white ball python in Costa Rica, right?
That is correct. There's a couple of months ago I was able to get the first Lucy. It was a big deal over there. You know, it's kind of hard to breed stuff, but when you get something so special like a white one, It's news, all right.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of a really cool white snake, I've got something to show you here. This is an extremely rare animal. This happens to be called an emperor diamond boa constrictor. So what it is you're holding what they call a fire boa constrictor, and it's a codominant mutation. When you breed those together, you get a white snake, 1 in 4 on average. And the males are being called an emperor diamond and females are called princess diamond. And my good friend Chase from Texas Boa Exotics is the owner of this absolutely gorgeous snake. Now, you like the white ball pythons. How about these white boas?
You know, Brian, to be able to see these kind of things over my country, you're gonna have to actually travel 3,400 miles because we only have the normals back there. Seeing something like this is completely blown mind.
Well, I tell you what, I'm glad that you've traveled 34 miles to come and spend some time with all these amazing reptiles.
Thank you so much, Brian.
So what type of boa is this, Brian?
Well, this is actually pretty cool. This is a T-positive sun glow. So it's basically 3 genes going on here. You have anuthristic, you have T-positive albino, and you have hypomelanistic. 2 of the genes are recessive, and 1 of them is codominant. So it's pretty awesome, right? This has kind of turned into a little bit of a boa show. I mean, we're walking around, there's like so many, but there's a lot of cool boas here, right?
Oh man, it's eye candy. It's just absolutely amazing.
I know, and just look at that, just how faded and ghost-like this looks. I'm digging this mutation a lot.
These guys are freaks.
So Pete, I tell you what, this has been an amazing show. There's so many cool animals here, huh?
Oh man, it is just absolutely mind-boggling, man. The colors, the patterns, and the species diversity is just, well, what can I say? I'm just blown away.
I know, and what a turnout, huh? I mean, the people here have been great to us. They've treated us so good, not only the vendors, but the customers that have walked through the door. This has just been an awesome weekend.
Oh man, I've enjoyed myself beyond belief.
I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as we have, because we've had an absolute ball. What's the most unusual animal I've ever seen at an NARBC reptile show? If you said A, Polish chicken, you're 100% correct. Good job. I know a lot of you wanted to say chupacabra. So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. What an amazing time in there. How about you, Pete?
Man, I was blown away by some of these absolutely awesome animals.
And as always, I was Facebooking and tweeting my way through it. So make sure to follow me over at SnakeBytesTV.
And me at Criticam.
Until next week, you've been watching Snake Bites.
Hi, I'm Peter Birch, an Aussie bloke who loves wildlife. My respect for nature started when I was a young boy in rural New South Wales. Since then, it's exploded into an obsession. New episodes only on Animal